Hi, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Steel Roses podcast. This podcast was created for women by women. You are listening to Jenny this evening.
And Melissa.
And Melissa. And I was going to say, and I have Melissa with me today, so I'm super excited. What's really funny is that on all the guest episodes that Melissa's not able to join, I'm always like, I talk about you all the time. Episodes, like I always pull you in.
It's so funny because I'm like, after I listen to the episode when they air and then just listening to your feedback, I'm like, damn it, I want to be there. Like, yeah.
And listeners, in full transparency, so Melissa's daughter is younger than my kids, and her schedule is a little like different, and it's a little bit more complex in my opinion. Whereas my guys are older now, which is really cool. And I'm able to like say like, okay, mommy's going to record for an hour. Everybody just sit over there and like be quiet. And they all literally just sit over there and be quiet. Like sometimes they pop in, but like for the most part, they like listen and they just go and do their own thing. And I want you to know that in 2 to 3 years, that could be you.
Jenny has literally entered the stage where she has kids and she no longer has little kids.
No.
Or toddlers.
No.
Which,
that's it.
Being in that stage myself, I can't possibly imagine that. But it sounds glorious.
It's like bittersweet. It's the bittersweet of like getting a little bit older and they don't need me as much. There's still stuff that's like annoying, like showers are super annoying for me because I still have to be in there to make sure the girls, because the girls fool around and they like to dance while they're in there. Oh my God. It's like my son gets in and out. He's like in there. He's out. He wants to hang out.
Let me handle my business and get out.
The twins are dancing. They're shaking their butts. I have to go in and yell at them. And it's like a whole thing. So anyway, we digressed. But yes, it does get, everyone told me that it gets easier. And I was like, this is a nightmare. I don't know when, but it is apparently getting easier.
You're 3, like I literally can't imagine. With twins, like, no.
No, I have PTSD from it. Don't imagine it. So
don't open that door.
I wanna give you room to give everybody updates on yourself, like how you're doing, what's up.
Let's see, what is up? It's like when the past 2 weeks pretty much have been a blur. Oh, we did go, that was actually really cute. We went over to the other side of Florida with, part of you are also related to them, but it's like it's our second cousin.
Oh, okay.
Our third cousin. So it's our parents' cousin's child. That we went and my mom's cousin. So it was like just more distant family, but they're basically our grandfather's brother's family.
That's nice.
If that makes sense. But it was really cute because our third cousin, whatever it is, has 2 children that are, I'd say probably a good, I forget what grade, they just went back to school. So, but I'd say a good like 4 or 5 years older than Mia. But they were so good with her. And they're like, she's so cute, blah, blah, blah. But it was nice because like we went, we were over at the beach or we went to the park and like they just took her hand and like went off. And I was like, oh my gosh. I was like, this is so nice. And she just loved them. Like she wanted to do whatever they were doing. And she's like, these are my cousins. And like,
yeah, she's a cutie pie.
And it's really cute. And she does the same obviously with your kids. But it was nice because we were there a couple of days. So like over the course of a couple of days, like she would go off like with them and like and I remember their mom being like, oh, you could sit down, like they're okay with her. I was like, it was like really full.
You can't. I know.
And I was like, all right, like, and I sat down. I was like, oh, this is nice. I can get used to this.
Right, because you're still at the stage where you have to follow her around everywhere, and especially, and you're also used to it just being the 2 of you.
Yeah. So like literally she wants me to come play with her. So I was like, wow, is this like one, like I know there are pros and cons to everything, but I was like, is this one of the perks to having like a sibling situation? Because like they
110%. I actually see moms at the park all the time that just have one. And I always feel bad because you can tell that they're like, go play. And the kid is like, with who? Like, what do you want me to do? Luckily, my kids are like the mayor and mayoresses of the playground or whatever it's called, because they will pick up anybody and be like, hey, what's your name? You want to come hang out with
Well,
us?
it's really cute because Mia is definitely, so I'm much more extroverted and my husband is much more introverted. And I wasn't sure when Mia was a baby, I wasn't sure, because she was born during the peak of COVID. So like there was more limited interaction with strangers.
Hmm.
But she's definitely more of a social butterfly. So it's really cute now when we go to the park or we have like a pool right next door and like she will go up to them and be like, "Hi, my name's Mia. What's your name?" And it's like really, really cute. But the one time, oh, my mom, me and Mia went to the zoo and like there's a kid play area and this kid was like a few years older and Mia kept going up to her and like but she was watching her younger sibling that was like only a year old and um she kept saying a name that was close to Mia, so Mia thought she was calling her, and Mia kept following her around,
Oh,
and like it was really, and my mom was like, "Oh my God, like she has to play with her now." So Mia ended up playing, but it was really funny because Mia is just like, "Oh, like who wants to play?" So it's cute because I think that part of school she's really gonna enjoy when she
oh, she's
goes.
gonna love it.
Yeah.
Oh,
Hmm.
she's gonna love it. You're gonna see like a lot of like almost like a lift off when she starts school, which is actually a nice segue
Good
because
segue. Good
that was
segue.
really good. That was a nice natural segue because this week we're talking about back to school. Now for everyone who's listening, that had kids going back to school, I think New Jersey was almost one of the last for kids to
Yeah.
go back, because everyone else that I was talking to, like through work and everything, they were saying they're like, oh, my kids started 2 weeks ago or this way. And I was like, holy hell. So my kids didn't go back until the 5th. Was it the 5th?
We're
Yeah.
counting down.
I was
That's
counting down the days, literally counting them down. And it's crazy because like that first day, like every phone call I had the first day that they were out, I was like, hold on, everyone, quiet. And then
you're like,
they would
wait.
be like, what? And I'd be like, listen, there's no noise in the background. And they're like, all right, Jenny, we get it. Like, I was like, you don't understand. I can hear myself thinking again. It's it's very cool. Last year it was like more jarring. I think it might have been because we had just moved into our house, and
Yeah.
when they went to school, it was like a shock. Like we were like, what, what do we do? And kind of thing. But this year that
They were a
transition
little
was a
bit
lot.
younger. I
They
think
were
they
a little
required
younger.
more attention last summer.
And it was also scarier too because um they didn't have friends yet.
Yeah.
This
Yeah.
year I was texting with all the moms and everyone's like, what teacher did your kids get? Let's do play dates. Like, so it was a little bit more like we already had an idea, who they were going to be having in their classes. Um, but the part that has been, that I want to talk about is, those recognizing those changes almost, because I was prepared for first day. They had all their supplies and everything. We're in a really great school system, and I'll always say that because our school system supplies all of the supplies. You don't have to buy anything, literally nothing. You just have to show up with a book bag and they give you everything at the school. So
That's really because even
yeah,
back when we were in elementary school, I remember having to go school shopping and
no,
like getting everything
yeah,
with my mom.
no, me too. No, it's phenomenal. They give everything to the kids here, which is a tremendous support. So that was like whatever. Like all I did was buy them book bags and I bought them back to school clothes because we don't have uniforms. They wear their regular clothes. What I was not quite prepared for was the tornado that comes home when they get off the bus.
Yes.
So this is how I talk about my kids when they get off the school bus, because they're at school all day and when they come home, they basically whip through the house like a tornado. they inhale all the snacks. Like it's almost like, in the cartoons when the mouth opens and food just goes flying in and it's not even
and
chewed
just disappears.
and it just disappears. I swear to God, I spent like $200 on snacks the week before. Like they ate everything already. Like I literally had to go back to the store today and
And
get
like
like the
pick up
knockoff
everything.
snacks because I was like, you guys ate all the brand names that I bought already. Like I had to, mommy
I can't
couldn't afford
imagine
it.
what your food bill, like
Oh,
your grocery bill looks like.
easily about $1,000 a month, easily for groceries.
Yeah, it has to be because
Like easy.
we're a family of three, and we are spending, I'd say, at least $150 a week.
Let's take a quick break.
Are you interested in podcasting but not sure where to start? My name is Jenny Benitez, and I'm here to help guide you through your podcast launch and maintenance. Check out the link in the episode description for Podcasting Unboxed, your comprehensive startup guide. I am very excited to work with you. Yeah. Well, and I'm like a cheap grocery shopper. Like I literally will go to, oh my God, I'm turning into like one of those old ladies. I will go to one store in particular for like my vegetarian products because I know that it's the cheapest at this one particular
Oh,
store. And then I'll go to another store for produce because they have the best produce. It's a little bit more pricey, but they have the best. And then I'll go to another store for like basic staples. Like it's like not, this is who I'm becoming. This is it.
you're like
Like
this.
I have to go.
It's
This is
happening.
it. It's happening.
Now,
Um,
ridiculously, not to get off on a tangent, but in Miami, people don't believe me, but like our version, so in New Jersey, the main store is usually ShopRite, right?
mm,
And then for this part of Florida, it's Publix.
yeah.
So we have I when I tell people like, and everyone's like, oh, you're bougie, whatever, because I'm like, oh, I got my, and you're laughing because but like I shop at Whole Foods because I could place the order online and then I just go pick it up. And like people are like, oh my God, you're crazy. You spend so much money on Whole Foods. And I'm like, no, dude, literally, Publix, for whatever reason, is way more expensive. I can literally buy better products at Whole Foods for less money than what I would spend at Publix.
That's crazy.
Isn't
Because
it
in New
nuts?
Jersey, it's not like that at all.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like I like legit can't. So anyway,
Um, no, but that's real. Like, so, honestly, though, that like this is like a legit topic here because I think across the United States, everyone is facing this problem. I went today and I only had like 140-ish dollars that I was like, all right, this is it. Like, this is all I have left to spend on groceries until I get paid again. And, just for transparency, I want to say that because I think we're kind of all in that bucket at this point. Like,
oh
you're
yeah, with
balancing out
inflation, it's just like
yeah, like everyone's like, oh gosh, what am I going to do here? I think at the grocery store the other day, I handed the lady back like 4 or 5 items. I was like, oh, these were the nice to haves. I'm not going to get it. It's pushing me over my budget. And she was like, she was like, I want you to know, literally this happens. Like, I can't even tell you how many times people are like, I have to put
like
back half the cart, like, because it's just too much money. She's like, it's crazy. She was like, I just want to tell you that it's literally not just you. And I was like, oh, I don't feel bad. Like,
well, the ridiculous thing is like things that I was buying 6 months ago are now $2 more.
yeah.
And like when the product is $6, like and now it's like $8, like in a 6 month span, that's significant.
That's a lot. Well, there's products that I've been
Even
buying for
like eggs.
years.
Like
Uh,
like
if I still ate meat, if we still ate meat here, we'd have a big problem. Like we would,
like we would literally not have food in the house.
do you know how often like we have just like beans? Like beans is the main course of our dinner, and then we have sides with the beans. Like beans will basically be like the main staple of the meal. And we'll put it in tortillas or we'll eat it on salad. Like beans is like
Right,
the
different.
main dish. And then we'll have like a salad on the side and we kind of do wraps or whatever. We do different things with it. Thank God, because that's only like 99 cents for like a bag of beans. Like
Yeah. Yeah,
it's
same.
crazy.
Because
It's crazy.
honestly, because of the horror stories I've heard about meat and like all that stuff, we do try and get like organic, pasture raised like meat, so crazy expensive.
Yeah.
Like it's so crazy expensive. So yeah,
Yeah.
that in that sense, it definitely is saving you guys, especially a family of 5, significant
Well,
money.
the part that the majority of our money go for food actually goes towards like the kids with their snacks,
The snacks.
their foods, and like their like little special things that I get them for like to pack for their lunches or whatever. Like oh my God, wait, you're gonna laugh. And this goes in line with like the packing the school lunches thing. So this year I actually am packing lunches still
Oh, you are?
because I'm packing lunches. Let's see how much longer will this go. So far I'm 3 days in, right? 4 days in.
How many days was it last time?
4 days. Oh, last
A
time
week,
I
right?
lasted 1 week,
Okay,
and
so let's
and then I
say.
was like, "F it, I'm not doing this." This time, however, they are actually eating the lunch,
Oh,
and what I started doing, and I was like, again, laughing at myself because I'm like, "Do I really need to be doing this?" You know how they sell those Uncrustables peanut butter and jelly
oh
sandwiches?
yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, for a box here at the shop, right? Because at the shop, right, it's the only place I ever really see them. For one box of like 10, it's like $9, something like that, something ridiculous.
Okay.
And it's a lot. Like to me, I'm like, that's a
Yeah,
lot of money, like nearly $10 for a box of peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. And I could buy a loaf of bread for 99 cents, and I can literally buy all the ingredients and make like 12 or 15
yeah, no.
sandwiches. Like,
And
so
again, you have 3 kids, so literally a
I
box of
have
10
these,
would last you 3
it
days.
lasts me 2 days. See, and that's the other problem here too, is like when you have more than one kid, you buy these boxes of like the peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. They come in a 4-pack or a 10-pack. Okay, the 4-pack is useless to me. That's useless. I don't need that. What do I need that for? And then the 10-pack is like almost $10. And I'm like, ah, my God, like I'll buy it when I like am so inclined, but I don't really want to spend that money on that. Um, and then even like the waffles, like the Eggo waffles, it comes like 6 in a pack or 10 in a pack, something like that. That doesn't
Yeah.
help me. Like
See that
it's
and
not
that's the kind of stuff
helpful.
like a mom of one, I can buy like let's say a box of Annie's bunny cookies. That will
Mm,
last her all week. That would
no,
last you literally maybe a day and a half, 2 days. Like,
my family, without me eating, Melissa, my family, without me eating, ate almost an entire loaf of bread at breakfast time because of toast.
wow, yeah. Wow, see, it's so different.
It's incredible the
Yeah.
amount that goes down. And I'm very mindful of like, what am I buying? And like the one day, my husband was like, Chris was like, oh, you gotta get, healthier stuff and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, look, I was like, let me just tell you this right now. I was like, I forget what the product was that he wanted me to get. Because the kids eat pancakes all the time. And
Oh yeah,
and
Mila.
everyone listening, like in a pinch, my kids eat pancakes for dinner too when I'm
Oh,
like super stressed. Like that happens.
that
That happened a couple of times actually
at least
last.
once a week, Mia eats pancakes for dinner.
I'm actually a little bit surprised that so my husband is very traditional and the entire time we've been together, it's always been like, you need to have a meal on the table kind of thing. Thank God he's gotten a lot looser about that. And he even had pancakes for dinner. And I was like, sorry, everybody, this is what's happening. But why I'm bringing this up is because I have the 99 cents box of pancake mix, or I have the $5 protein pancake mix that I could buy. And
Oh,
so he had said to me, he was like, oh, like, is this the one with the protein in it? He's like, get that one. You got to make sure you get that one. And I was like, it's $5. This one was 99 cents. I was like, so I got the 99 cents one. I was like, I have to, but that's one of the things like, all right, I kind of like pick and choose, right? Like I had to do that this time. Maybe next time I'll get the better one and I'll mix it. And that way
yeah.
it's like something, like you gotta like work with what you got kind of thing. But yeah, lunches now. So what I did at the end of last week, because I was like running out of ideas. So if anyone out there, listen, if anyone's listening that is also packing school lunches, please, I'm interested. Tell me your ideas because I run out of creativity. What I started doing was I made my own Uncrustable sandwiches and I took a big cup that I had and I
Oh,
made the
and like make
sandwich
the cutout.
and then I stamped it and made the cutout and they friggin' loved it. They went nuts for it. And I was like, okay.
Like, I can keep doing that.
I can make these. This is easy.
But note to self, though, cousin, there are literally Instagram accounts. Like, I literally just started following one that was like easy toddler meals that your kid will actually eat. Like that was like the
Mm.
name of the account. But there are ones for like school lunches. So you should definitely jump on that.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I am probably also gonna throw money on their school accounts as soon as I can because as much as I don't mind it, but then I also have to like, oh my God, I sound so whiny, but then I have to wash their bento boxes out every evening to make sure that they're cleaned up.
Yeah, no, I was trying to think
Oh,
who I was talking to because this back to school topic is like a big topic,
oh
right?
yeah.
And I would forget which parent I was talking to, but they were like, I think they got sick or something. And their oldest child started making their own lunches. And like the mom felt bad and like she was gonna go back to like making the lunches. And the father stepped in and was like literally like, no,
They're
they're
doing it.
and they're doing it. Like
Yeah.
what now your guys are a little bit, but like another year or so, they can
Actually,
start making their own lunches now.
actually, they kind of do it right now. So
Like pick out what they want.
they pick out all the stuff and they put it all in their box. And then I tell them, just leave me the biggest section and I'm going to put the food, like your big food, in that section.
Gotcha.
But honestly, Genevieve would do it. I mean, my daughter, like she would knock it out herself every morning. Like she would
Oh
just,
my God.
she's like, I got my snack, I got my this, my that, or whatever. They like to do it. And I've tried to like empower them so they understand like this is what you need to do. And you have to have some healthy stuff. If you're going to have some gummies, you need some healthy, like to
Right,
balance it out.
balance. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, we're getting through it, but it was, the biggest thing, like, so the lunches was getting back into the swing
Transition.
of that was a transition. And then, their attitudes when they come home. So I mentioned the tornado when they come in the house. It's like they come in, they throw everything everywhere, and we're they're eating, like they'll start like inhaling snacks. Now, like I don't stop work until about 5 o'clock. They get home at 4. So between 4 and 5, they're like inhaling snacks. So when I stop work at 5, I'm like, all right, I'm going to start cooking dinner. At that point, I'm going to be honest.
They
I
like
literally, well, yeah, at that point, they're good and they've had a bunch of snacks. But then also, I'm also at a loss at this point as to like, what am I friggin' cooking for dinner? Like, they don't eat anything. I can tell you right now, they eat chicken nuggets, they eat pizza bagels. Sometimes they eat spaghetti, and sometimes it's not every time.
like that's a halfway
Sometimes they
given.
eat sometimes they eat ramen, although I think that they're starting to tire from ramen, so they don't like. Occasionally, I'll like be like, all right, peanut butter jelly or pancakes. Like, gotta pick something here. But like, literally, that's like, what do they say? 6 things. That's it. That's
Yeah,
it.
see, like Mia's still at that stage where she'll eat different things. Um, like tonight, and I wasn't sure. Like I was like, because she's been wanting rice, and I was like, rice is such a filler. It's got like no,
Yeah.
not a ton of.
There's no
So I
nutritional value.
made quinoa.
Mm.
And she gobbled it. Now, granted, I put like butter and, seasoning and whatever on it, but she like gobbled it down. And I'm like, oh, good, because it's got so much more protein and so much more nutrients. Like,
Yeah,
I'll
it's
give her
better.
this like a couple nights. But like, she's still at that stage where she's like flexible. My problem is one, I made a note to myself because you're right. Like as they get older, they're like, I want like
Yeah,
this, and this. So I'm like really trying to like keep a variety in there going.
that's good.
But my bigger problem is that like she'll take like 4 or 5 bites and then she's done. Like she's like, oh, I'm full.
Well, you
I'm like,
don't.
which was never an issue with me. Like my mom and I were joking. I was like, I would freaking like ask for seconds. Like I never thought I'd have a kid with this issue.
Mine will do this thing. Well, I have two things. Mine will do this thing where like they'll try something out and they'll like it. Like I made eggplant parm yesterday, and so we had leftovers of that today for our dinner. Like
Love it.
I grilled like hot dogs and hamburger, well, quote unquote hamburgers. I grilled hot dogs and
You're like
hamburgers.
meatless.
Meatless. They're so good though. I love them. But I grilled that, and then I also and the kids eat all that stuff, and then I also heat warmed up the eggplant parmesan. Kelly ate that,
So that's pretty good. Like Mia won't
but
touch that.
it's like I can't make it and think she's gonna eat it. Do you know what I'm saying? Like I didn't
Yeah.
make it for her
Well,
because
that's the thing that drives me crazy is like the hit or miss. Like literally,
yeah,
I will feed Mia something one night. She'll
yeah.
gobble it down. And then 2 nights later I'll make the same, like I'll make it again and she won't touch it. I'm like, what the Are you
Yes.
kidding me?
Well, so
Like
that was the other thing I was gonna say. Like they do that to me quite a bit where they'll be like, oh, inhaling something, they love it. I was making eggplant parm the one day and I had all the fried pieces out and my stepson was here and he's eating them and anything he does, they're gonna
that's
do.
Matt's favorite part.
So
He
they
like
all
gobbles
stood there. Yeah,
it.
they all stood there eating it. The kids were eating it. And I was like, oh, like, okay, is this like a thing? They're going to eat this now? And then, but then they didn't do it again after that. And they like lightly were like, oh, yeah, it's good. But like they kind of passed on it. What they're starting to do now is they'll eat their plate, like they'll eat their portion of food. And then immediately, as soon as they're done, they'll be like, can I have a snack? And I'm like, but you just ate. Like, do you want more dinner? And they're like, no, I want a snack. I'm like, but you just freaking, so that's my challenge really now at this point.
Yeah.
Like, especially because I need to make sure they eat something. So I also have like get like the organic macaroni and cheese. Like I have stuff that I'm trying to, but I get really pissed off.
Oh, Goodles, man.
When I take time to cook and then I put food on the table, like my guys are at the point where they sit down and go, oh, I don't want to eat this. And I'm like, I'm going to throw that plate against the wall if you don't take 2 bites of that food. Like,
yeah.
That's where I'm at. Weeknight
And
dinners.
I know like all like the parents are like, don't get in the habit of like making a separate dinner, like a second dinner option
Oh, I do it like all
for
the
your
time.
kids. And I'm like, well, she's got to eat something. Like
That's what I'm
my
saying,
goal
like-
is to like get her to eat. So like I will normally modify like what we're eating, but
kid friendly.
yeah, and like if that doesn't work, I'll make her pancakes because I'm like she's got to eat something.
Well, so that's the part that like I reflect on that quite a bit because I remember like my mom would tell me like, oh, that her sisters would like if you didn't eat, then you went to bed hungry, and then you
Yeah,
had to
like that was
eat, and then
our
you had to
grandparents definitely.
oh, and then you had to eat if you didn't eat that finish your dinner, you had to eat it for breakfast the next day cold.
Oh.
Like that was like the punishment. And I remember being like, my mom never did that. She just told us those stories to scare us. But I think about that now and I'm like, sometimes we say that to them. We're like, well, you're not eating anything. And I'll tell them like, that's it. I'm not cooking for you jerks anymore. Like, I'm not freaking doing this. But like, ultimately, I just want them to eat.
Yeah.
Like, I don't care.
Is it? And these are the things when you're a parent, it's like before you have kids, you're like, really? Is this is what parents
It's like
talk about? But this is what parents talk
This is like really stressful. It stresses me out so much that I was like looking at recipes all weekend. I was really trying hard to know like what am I doing this week? But like I don't
What's
know what I'm doing.
funny to me is again, Mia's only 3, but from the time that she was like born, I was like, no, she's like going to be exclusively breastfed. Then when we got to like baby food, it was like, no, it's like organic baby food. Like I tried to remember when I was like making organic baby food, like making like squish, like cooking and pureeing the stuff myself.
That's hilarious.
It's hilarious how far I've fallen now because I'm like, yeah, no, you want those 3 Oreo cookies? Okay, you have to take 2 more bites of whatever your dinner is, and then I'll give you whatever
Like,
you
I don't
want.
care. You're like, I really don't care. Yeah,
But
it does.
coming
It's
full circle, but talking about these sorts of things that stresses parents out, But I think like this back to school transition is definitely one of those because
It's like
you're not only
highlighting it.
right, like you're not
Yeah.
only thinking about back to school, but it's like all the normal stressors. And
Yes.
then on top of
On
it
top of
is
it. Well, the other thing that like was really stressful, and this is going to sound so stupid, but because my kids are all in different classrooms, so it's 3 different teachers. I can't remember
Gotcha.
anyone's names, so that already is like bothering me. I can't remember anyone's names yet. And but besides that, in our school system, you communicate with the teachers through an app, which is amazing. Oh, it's phenomenal. You can reach them at any time through this app. And
That's
it's like
really
it's like a text message. So they're you have to register though. Like, so they send home paperwork and you have to fill it out on the app and get connected to it. And then like a bunch of papers were coming home where you have to fill out information about yourself and then your kids and this and that. And I was like, there was like one night where it was like, I think it was on Tuesday, like 45 minutes. I was sitting there like, and then my kids come home from school. They empty, it's called a communications folder. So the school system, each child gets a folder and then the teacher puts all the papers in there that have to be sent home for the day.
okay.
My kids come home, they each take all their papers out and throw them at me. So I don't know whose papers belong to which. So then I'm like the jerk that's like texting the teachers being like, which form is for your class? Because my kids just tossed everything in my face. And I'm like, guys, could you not just hand me the folder? Like, you don't have to empty it. But they come home and they just like trash it and throw it at me. And I'm like, So that was kind of like stressful. And that sounds so silly, but that was like really, and then I know it's not just me because one of my mom friends was texting me too and being like, I can't. She's like, I can't.
Too.
No,
Is
this is a different. This is a different one. This is a different friend. That was like, she was like, I can't get into the stupid app. I can't do it. I was like, I think you got to be invited. Like, I don't really know. It's just, it is. I know it stresses everybody out, which is kind of why I wanted to talk about it because it's like it's so silly, but it's like it's really stressful because you're trying to do it.
Well, and I was talked to 2 of my good friends this past week, and they were who are also from New Jersey, and they were talking just like they're like, I have anxiety, like the night before the first day, like I couldn't sleep, like drop off was stress, like it just sounds so stressful. It's just like crazy amount of like mom anxiety, parent anxiety.
It is. And my kids take the school bus, which is cool because it picks them up like literally right, like our bus stop is right on the corner, like across from our house. So that's awesome because it's like right there, but it's just like they take the bus and then I'm like, oh my God, are they going to, last year the twins got in trouble on the bus so much that the bus driver, oh my God.
You didn't tell me this.
Oh my God. We used to get like every day.
Why?
Oh my God. Because listen, I just feel like I need to say this. Like my kids, my daughters are like trouble, right? And so they would like all out be brawling on the bus with each other because one of them wants to sit next to the window and they're like fighting with each other. And then at first they had all 3 kids sitting together and they were like, this is terrible. We can't do this. So there was like an instance where the bus driver had to pull over because my kids were fighting. Yeah. I was like, we were getting all these like,
man, when they're teenage girls,
oh my God,
at the teenage stage, that'll be interesting for you.
Why do you say it like that? That sounds terrifying to me. I'm so scared. It's so scary. Oh, by the way, everybody, the reason why I'm talking so low is because I'm recording it upstairs in my house today, and I'm scared I'm gonna wake everybody up, which is why I'm like a little bit more subdued today. I'm also tired. But yeah, no, they got in a lot of trouble last year on the bus. The bus driver like literally told me at one point, she told me and my husband, she was like, look, normally at this point we would be like, you need to drive them. And I was like, oh, no.
Ooh,
so yeah, because then they were like with the potty words. And then there are those kids that are like saying bad words to get other people to laugh on the bus.
This is hilarious. You did not tell me this last year.
Oh my God. It was towards the end of the school year. And we were like, and my husband like had to scare them and was like, if we get one more bad report, we're my husband's Ecuadorian, so he was like, you're gonna get the chancleta if you. I'm telling you right now, he was like, if we get one more bad report when you get home, that's what you're getting. And they were like, oh my God, okay. So this year, so far, so good. But they're still sitting behind the bus driver because they got into so much trouble last year that she remembered. And so she kept them behind her this year. So all those things combined make for a stressed out mommy because I'm like, it's a lot. It's a lot. It's a lot for everybody. And I know for like preschool and like daycares are like rough. When you're putting your kid into a new daycare, when you're getting them set up, not only is there piles of paperwork to fill out, but there's also a long list of supplies that you have to pull together and bring on the first day. And I remember at like the ones that we were at, we had to bring blankets for nap time. And then every week you had to wash the blankets. There was one daycare that had special blankets that the daycare issued, but you had to wash them. And so if your kid didn't go in with their blanket, they didn't have a blanket for nap time. I was like, oh my, like this kind of ties into the whole like mental load of motherhood, like all of these tiny little things that you have to be aware of in order to just get your kid to school is like insane. Like, thank God my kids didn't need physicals yet this year because that would have pushed me right over the edge.
Like I would have
that would have been it. That would have pushed me right over. I need to really check on that because I'm sure that's going to be forthcoming.
Cousin, I did want to bring up because I figured we could do a little, because not only do we like to talk about real conversations that parents and people in general are having around this time of the year, but we also like to leave you guys, our listeners, with a little,
with some hope.
Yeah, with some hope, with some positive strategies, something. So I found this article from the New York Times that was talking about 6 ways to help your child transition back to school. So because your little ones are at this level, I figured we could quickly kind of go through and you could just either debunk and say like, no, that doesn't work. And like,
I'm excited.
Or you could say, hey, this is a really good approach for our listeners for if in case you're going through the back to school transition right now, or if you're like me and I'm like a little afraid because Mia is either going to be starting in January or I'm going to push it. And part of the reason I kind of want to push it is because I have been hearing the horror stories about this transition. So I'll push it till June when she would start summer camp. Okay, but so let's see if you think these are actual good strategies for parents. So
go for it.
The first one they suggest is prepare for coming and going. So they say part of the problem is that kids are going from summertime fun. They're either at home, at camp, or doing something, at leisure. So what this article is saying is to ease your child into being an active part of getting ready for outings. So they're saying take them on your errands.
Oh, I already do that. So yeah, I kind of already do that. I could see that. That's for like more like if your kids are just like literally just like hanging around.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, no, and that too. Like starting preschool, like yeah, okay. That seems more like a little kid like trying to get them to get going in the morning.
Yeah.
I could see that though. I can see that being helpful. Continue.
I'm surprised that's number 1, but that makes sense.
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
Number 2 is pay attention to bedtime. So, if you want, they say if you want your child's school year to start right, you want to do it by making some adjustments to their bedtime routine. So if their bedtime hasn't stayed consistent through the year, then you want to start making sure they're going to bed, shifting their bedtime by 15 minutes every few days. So that way you're getting down to an earlier bedtime because they're going to be getting up earlier.
We actually did do that.
Ah, see?
That's legit. We did do that because I mean, we're pretty strict in general, like, but we were letting them stay up until like 9:30-ish. It's close to 10 actually in some instances. But towards the end there, we tightened it up and we're like, you need to be in bed by like 8:30. Like this needs to happen.
Interestingly, too, they talk about how you should limit. I mean, we try to do that too, but try to limit screen time before bed. So no, including TV, tablets, or computer screens. But I didn't realize this. Researchers at Harvard Medical School found that blue light from electronics suppresses twice as much melatonin in children than adults. So it makes it even harder for kids to fall asleep. That's interesting.
That I have heard, and I'm going to be honest with you, I don't abide by that at all. Like
They need to
not
wind
even
down somehow.
because honestly, like that has always been, I know it goes against every single piece of research out there, but that has always been the way that we've gotten them to sit still.
To calm down.
How else am I supposed to get my kids to sit still? Because if I leave it up to them, if I don't put something on for them to watch and like start to calm down, they will straight up start a whole new imaginary game and I will lose my freaking mind. Like it literally happened. We're like, all right, it's calm down time now. Grab a tablet. You got 15 minutes. And we sent them to their rooms and then we heard like a lot of commotion. They're running around, they're playing. And we were like, oh my God, what the? And we just, it's like, what the hell is wrong with it? We told you to calm down. So now we're like, we literally like actually force it upon them. We're like, you need to sit down in your bed with a
And
phone or a
watch.
tablet and relax.
That's interesting. And I think that's like one of those differences between like parent of one versus parent of multiples. Because with me, I could literally like you can't do that with 3 kids. Like they literally outnumber you.
Yeah. That's it. They can stage a coup. Like we can't, like, do you know how often they've outnumbered me and outmanned me and like done stuff? And I'm like, sorry, honey. Like, couldn't do anything about this.
Okay, so debunked that number 2, part B, at least. The third thing they suggest is mimic their social setting. So I think this is, again, if your child has spent most of their summer kind of at home versus so this one is saying like enroll them in summer camp, or they have these little, have you seen these? I've actually seen this, is where different organizations or different, this library, whatever, they'll actually have a like, get your child back ready to go back to school. So like literally the week or 2 before school starts, they have like little workshops to get them back into the mode of, which is crazy.
Up.
And people are making serious money.
I would do that. I would let me tell you how much money I would pay. I have to tell you,
it's a legit thing.
I would pay quite a lot for those last 2 weeks for them to be in something like a workshop or something. I would 100%. That's a phenomenal idea. I would definitely do it if it was available.
So check for the
Jenny B endorses that. Yeah, Jenny B approved.
4 was talk about the changes and that are coming, talk about what challenges they might face, and then help them, obviously give them a heads up about what they could encounter, and then help them sort of transition through. I feel like that's a no-brainer, right? Because I even do that with Mia now.
I think it is a no-brainer, and I know that that's more applicable like for littles, like when they're first going to school, because it's scarier. I used to also, oh my gosh, it's so cheesy. But my kids watched Daniel Tiger when they were little, and I still have.
What's that now?
I still have the whole playlist.
Daniel Tiger and
I still have the Daniel Tiger playlist on my cell phone. And the other day it came on when we were in the car and the kids started laughing because they were like, what is this? And I was like, you seriously don't remember this? I was like, they have a lot of songs on the Daniel Tiger playlist, just FYI for you. They have a bunch of songs on the Daniel Tiger playlist that I used to sing to them on the way to school because one of them is Grown Ups Come Back. And it was basically the song sings like, you know, your mommy has to go to work or your parents have to go to work, but don't worry, grown ups always come back.
That's good
And
to
we
know.
used to sing it together on the way to school. And I was like, all right, well, at least this is some like subliminal messaging going in here for the kids. They don't know what they're saying, but they understand like grown ups come back.
That's cute. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I see that quite a bit.
Real tip.
What else you have? What else you got?
Number 5 was get really excited
Mm-hmm.
so that the child knows like, oh, this is something to look forward to. So that was their number 5, which again, I don't know if that works on like big kids, but like little kids like me, that actually does still work.
For now, they're still super excited. I have a
like
feeling
high school age, that's not gonna work.
not even high school. I think it's
middle
sooner.
school.
Like they'll probably start looking forward to it, but like it'll be less and less so. And then it's gonna just be like, I'm just going to school because I have to go to school. Like I just got to get this done.
Yeah. And like you said, your kids were starting a new school system because you guys moved last year. So that was probably more anxiety prone, but
true.
Everybody had friends already. So they were probably eager and like excited to go see everybody that they missed over summer.
They were. They were super excited about it because my daughters have little boyfriends and they were like, we need to see our little boyfriends. And I was like, good Lord. And it was funny because I was texting one of the little boys' moms and because we were trying to do a play date and it just never worked out. And I was like, oh my God, if I hear one more thing about your son, like we just need to get them married right now. And she was like, Jenny, I have heard so much about your daughter this summer. Oh. It was so cute. I was like, oh my God.
That's hilarious.
Wait, quick side note, like quick sidebar, because I know we have to keep going. Really funny about like boyfriends and stuff for the little ones. There's a height difference between me and my husband. For the listeners, there's a height difference between me and my husband. I'm taller. I'm about 2 or 3 inches taller. One of the twins told me the other day, she was like, I really just prefer it. And this is how she said it. I just prefer it for the boys to be smaller than me. And I was like, do you really? And she was like, yeah. And she takes her little hand and I'm going to describe it for everybody. And she put it at about eye level. And she's like, I like them to be here or down. And I was like, that's interesting because that is exactly the height. That's exactly the height that like, well, here's the other interesting thing though. My son,
she's taking you and
she literally, and she was like, I prefer down. And I was like, oh, okay, girl, get it. My son actually pointed out the other day, he's like, I don't understand why you're taller than Bobby. And I was like, what are you talking about? Why? Like, I just am. And he was like, but girls are supposed to be shorter than boys. I was like, oh, are they?
Like, challenge accepted.
And I was like, really? You think so? I was like, no, I don't think so, buddy. And he was like, He's like,
that is hilarious.
Yeah, interesting.
It'll be fun. That's really funny. It'll be funny to see what Mia picks up on because for our listeners, I am literally more than a foot shorter.
I know, it's so adorable.
Like there is such a drastic height difference, and our daughter takes after her father. Like she's like always 85 to 90 percentile in height. So she's like crazy tall.
She is really tall.
She literally goes around and says, Mia's tall. Like Daddy. Daddy's tall. Mia's tall. Mommy's short. Nona's short. Daisy, our dachshund, is short.
Short, yeah, definitely. Got a bunch of shorties in the house.
So it'll be funny what she thinks is like, oh, like this is my preference.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how they...
Okay, this is the last one. And then we're done with this little suggestion checklist. Number 6 was start your transition plan slow and start it early. So their idea was like not to make like a huge plan, but to sort of come up with these like small lists of habits that you could start introducing every
Mhm.
several weeks before school starts to sort of make the transition easier, which I
Yeah.
think like ideally is good, but
But you know what? Not for nothing. Sometimes you just don't have
sometimes
time for
you
that
don't
crap and you just
exactly. I was
gotta
just
rip
gonna
the
say that.
Band-Aid off. Yeah, like honestly,
Right?
when these guys were little, I didn't do any of that stuff. I didn't prepare them. I'm not gonna explain to a 3-year-old, by the way, you're going to school. They're gonna be like, no, mommy, I stay with you. Like they're not gonna get that. Like they're older now and I can say, yeah, we can actually have conversations. But like for littles, when you're bringing them for the first time, it's more like you're going to make a lot of new friends today. I'm going to drop you off. You're going to have so much fun. The biggest impact is when you have to walk away. And the hard part is, well, not for me because I used to run away, but like for a lot of moms, the hard part is like dropping them off and then actually leaving. Now, like, with my son, I used to feel worse because he was just by himself. The twins, I didn't feel bad because I'm like, they have
Like
each
yeah,
other.
each other. Like
They
yeah.
had each other. They had their cute little, when they were little, oh my God. When they were little, they had their cute little backpacks. There were 3 and they were little chubsters or little porcupines down there. And they would just go into their little school with their little book bags on and they were fine. Vicente, I always like stuck around for, and it's funny because he's the one now who like when I'm trying to put him to bed, is like, oh no, mom, could you just stay a couple of minutes? I
Yeah.
just need, like,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
the girls, I'm always,
They transition faster.
they transitioned faster, and I think I'm tougher on them than
Yeah.
I am on him,
Oh
and
no,
that's
you definitely are.
such an Italian mom thing to do,
I
and
was
I'm
just gonna say we make fun of
such
you
an a hole.
because
I'm such an a hole.
well, I have to admit that I mean Mia she just turned 3, but I do have those transition conversations with her because I found that it does help. Like 2 weeks ago, I had to leave Mia. And granted, it was just with my husband, but she's like, in mommy stage still. And like I was running late, like I had to go teach, like I had to like literally just run out the door. And that was a bad that was not a good day. And it was like the first day of
Yeah.
like classes starting and it was not good. But like as um as I had to go to, other days, like made sure I left like 5 minutes beforehand and like I sat with her
Mm.
and I was like, okay, like don't forget, we're going to practice for school, right? Because you're just with daddy. So you're going to stay here and like play with daddy. And
Oh,
mommy's
and
going to
that's like
come right
school.
back.
Is that
Yeah. I was
that's
like, let's practice for school. Cause I was like, in, maybe a few months or maybe like 6 months from now, you're going to be going to school. You're going to go make friends, you're gonna have fun, and then mommy's gonna come right back and pick you up. And she was like, oh, okay, this is good practice. I was like, yeah, this is good practice. And she's like, okay. I was like, and she like you could see like her lips just start quivering, or like eyes were starting to tear up. And I was like, you don't have to cry, right? This is just practice. And she like took her hand and like wiped the back, like took the back of her hand and wiped her eye. And she's like, okay, mommy. She's like, I'm a big girl. I can do it. And I was like, okay, good job, Mia. And I was like, okay, now go run and go have fun with daddy and I'll be right back. And like, it sounds so stupid, but like taking that time and she didn't cry and I came back and she was fine. And like the next time it got easier because like, I was like, Mia, don't forget, we're practicing, right? She's like, we're practicing. And like, she went off and like, it helps.
yeah.
It really
No,
does help.
I will say, like, yes, in the earlier days scenarios, like that is definitely that is a good approach. And for these guys too, like, I mean, not in relation to school, but like for stuff like doctor's appointments and dentist appointments,
Oh yeah.
we prepare them. Like, and I talk to them and they'll tell me like, Mom, am I gonna get a shot? And I'm like, and I'll tell them like, you're gonna get a shot. But it's all right. Like, I'm here for you, and mommy's going to be right next to you. You're going to hold my hand, okay? And you can sit on my lap if you want. And I talk with them about it because my mom would always lie to us and tell us no. And I used to get so pissed off because I'd be like, Mom, can you just friggin' tell me so I can just mentally prepare that I'm going to get a bunch of shots? Like, could you just tell me? So now I tell them, I'm like, they're like, is it going to hurt? I'm like, it is going to hurt. It's going to suck, but it's just a couple seconds and then it's okay and you're all right. And they're like, okay.
But it's true. It's like if you lay out what is going to happen, and just like us, I'm the same way. I don't like knowing what's not knowing what's coming down the line. Like I want to know
Exactly. Like
too.
you want to know too. That's why I'm like, yo, like I'd want to know. I get nervous when I don't know. Like that's my son gets really nervous when he doesn't know what's going on.
Oh,
So I'm like, no, buddy, like this is what's gonna happen. Sometimes with shots, like oh my God, this is gonna sound a little over the top. If it's possible, like I'll make sure I'm getting a shot at the same time. So like for example, like flu vaccines or whatever, like I will get one first and be like, all right, I'm gonna go first, you watch me, and then you're gonna go. And they're all like, oh, okay. And like I'll try to do that so that they see like, okay, she took it, she's all right. So just like stuff like that. Yeah, I try to prepare them. We digressed a little bit, but yeah, it all
yes.
kind of works
But
together.
coming full circle, the moral of the story is we're all human.
Mm,
Ideally, transitions, the slower, the earlier you can start, the better.
mm.
But sometimes you just got to rip that band-aid off and they're going to be okay, though.
Yeah, they'll be fine.
And from what I've heard and even the little I've experienced so far, it sounds like all parents are stressed out during
Oh,
this
yeah.
time of the year. No, anybody that's telling you otherwise is faking it.
Mm-hmm. Oh, they're faking it.
Or in
Give your,
denial themselves.
give yourself a break. Like, honestly, yeah. And pulling it full circle, like, well, number one, do not compare yourself to anybody else. You have
No.
to just own your own reality. Take it easy on yourself. If you're super stressed out for whatever reason, like if you're working, even if you're a stay-at-home mom and you're like trying to get chores done all day and you get to the end of the day and you're like, holy shit, I didn't cook dinner. Okay, throw some friggin' hot
Right.
dogs on the
Yeah.
grill or throw some
Frozen pizza
pancakes in a pan,
right in there.
frozen pizza it up. I have I actually wanted to do an episode on this. I have all these like secret meals that I do in a pinch
We really
because
should do an episode on it.
because I quite often am in a pinch. So, like give yourself that like grace. Like buy a frozen lasagna, stick it in the back of your freezer. Nobody will know. And then you can just pull it out and pretend like boom, you actually perfected like getting everything done. I do it all the time. I always do stuff like that.
And remember, I had one really good friend this week whose child had the absolute worst start of their school year, and like drop off was like horrible. And I literally was like, hey, it's okay. Like just regroup, have a conversation tonight when they get home, and
Mm-hmm.
tomorrow is a brand new day.
Yep.
So that's all you can do. That
That's
is
all you can do.
all you can do. And
Give your
the second day was completely different than the first. So
mm-hmm.
just keep it in mind. Keep it in mind.
Yeah, you'll be all right. We're all going through it and we'll get through it together. But also feel free to send me lunch tips on what you're packing for your kids because
No,
I'd
seriously.
love to hear it.
I think we really should. I think our next episode should be like kid hacks or meal hacks, just in general. Even if you don't
Just
have
like
kids, like
Jenny hacks.
yeah, like meal hacks, because
I
that's
have like a bunch. I have a bunch of like Jenny hacks that are like Jenny things that I do that I'm like, this needs to save Jenny today.
yeah. Mm-hmm. We all need a little bit of that in our lives.
We all need some hacks. Thank you all for listening today. Very happy to have you all with us, and we hope that you found this episode, if not informative, somewhat entertaining. If you're going through the same thing, we're in it with you. Hang in there. You got this. I do want to, before we close out, I want to tease up. We actually have some really cool episodes coming up with a couple people that we interviewed. One of them focusing in on like leaving your 9 to 5 and like how you can accomplish that. So that's going to be forthcoming. And then another one that talks through the I want to call it mommy, or not mommy, just sobriety for women, and like the difficulties in managing stress and that, and how like using alcohol to kind of balance things out. So there's going to be some cool episodes coming out in the next couple of weeks. So stay tuned for those. You'll see them pop up on your feed when they come up, but they're really cool, very engaging episodes.
Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to listening to them. And Again, we just want to thank you guys for tuning in. An episode like this might feel more of like a rant or storytelling a little bit, but I think, again, part of the reason why we started this podcast is because these are the conversations that you didn't hear women having, and that really everybody's having behind the scenes.
We're all going
To
through
the
it.
day to day. So we're all going through it. These are the kinds of things that we do want to bring to light and just make it part of the norm, right? Like we're all transition, going through it, and
make it through.
We can all get through to the other side. So
exactly. That was really good. Well, thank you all for listening and have a great week. We'll see you next time.
See you next time.